Well, welcome to the NESB session on local initiatives from the Connecticut Energy Network. You'll see from this session, we've got some really interesting examples of what folks have done through local initiatives across the state. You'll see that this presentation really is founded on the clear belief that while there are things that we can and must do at the national level and at the state level, there is so much that we can accomplish at the local level. When we do things at the local level, we're working with leaders that we know and they know us. We're not talking about abstract concepts. We're talking about tangible projects and initiatives that benefit our neighbors. And there are so many things that we can learn from, so many examples, both in the state and really across the world. And this wonderful quote, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." And we're going to see some of that today. Here's an example of an impact that a local action can have. This is a program called Solarize, promoting solar in a town. And you can see those smiling faces there. They've been running this campaign. The bottom is a graph of how much solar energy is produced in this town. And you can see pretty clearly something happened in 2014. Well, that was the Solarize campaign. So just one example of how these initiatives can have a very big impact. PACE has what we call, PACE, or People's Action for Clean Energy, has what we call the 100% Connecticut Project. And this is really the focus of the work at People's Action for Clean Energy, where we work with towns to help them take stock and benchmark and understand their energy usage, look at how much they can reduce that by energy efficiency and by electrifying, heating, cooling, and transportation. We then look at how much renewable energy we could realistically and responsibly site in town and how much we'll need to get from regional sources. We take a look at the electric grid, because the electric grid was built many years ago with the design of large central power stations sending energy out in one direction. Now we have multi-directional flows of energy. We've got people producing and consuming. We've got storage. We've got generation distributed. So we need to take a look at that grid, and particularly look at designing microgrids in our towns. And the last step of the project is really all what we're going to talk about today, which what are the campaigns, what are the initiatives that we can do locally? One way of looking at this journey to 100% clean renewable energy is shown in this graph. And this is an analysis that we've done with a town. The blue bars on the left build up the current energy usage for the town. So you can see if you add them all together, electricity and gas and oil and transportation, you get to a tall number, 1,570. This is in gigawatt hours. And that's everything. And then we look at how much we can reduce that by energy efficiency, by electrification. And we get that number down to 717. And then we look at, well, how much could we actually site right in town? And that's, in this case, 297. So that leaves 420. So that's really the whole overview of this transition. The other way of looking at it is on the left-hand side of this graph today, you can see it's all red. Pretty much all of our energy comes from non-renewable sources. The blue line going across the top is sort of if we did nothing, sort of business as usual. Things will probably get a little more efficient. But if we got serious about efficiency and electrification, you can see this gray wedge at how much we can reduce our energy consumption. At the same time, coming from the bottom up, we're deploying more and more renewables. We're building solar, we're doing wind, so that in the end, we're using much less energy, and it's all coming from renewable sources. So that red wedge of non-renewable sources is getting squeezed out by efficiency at the top and by renewables at the bottom. So what we're going to talk about today is some initiatives that people have done successfully. And the typical approach that groups take is, first of all, they get a team organized. And maybe it's the Clean Energy Task Force or the sustainability team. They start by doing some baseline analysis of energy usage, of the town, of building stock. They make a plan. They draft an energy plan. They set a vision. They set some goals. They get out there in the community, engage the community, and then they get to work on all of these little building blocks: efficiency, heat pumps, transportation, renewables, microgrids. This image you'll see, and then there's a link reference here, is from the PACE website, and it's what we call our online guidebook. And I encourage you to go there, click on any one of those boxes, and you'll find a bunch of resources. You'll find a draft energy plan. You'll find case studies. You'll find articles on these different topics. So today we're going to look at some examples. We've got 5 really exciting things that have been done and are being done. We're going to start with the Hampton Green Energy Committee, the Hampton Green Energy Committee, and how they used a survey to get support for what they're doing. We'll then move on to Branford, where the HeatSmart program has been promoting heat pumps and with great success. Then a really exciting program, Middletown's CHEER, Comfortable, Healthy, Energy Efficient Renewables. We'll then go on to Sustainable Fairfield, which is a group that's been very active and accomplished a great deal, including solar and microgrids. And then we'll look at an expansion in Madison of a library that really did state-of-the-art energy retrofits. And finally, the glue, the connective tissue that holds this all together is the Connecticut Energy Network. So we're going to hear from Patrice Gillespie and how this group really shares best practices. So we're thrilled to have this great lineup today, and enjoy the rest of the presentation.
Hello, my name is Kate Donnelly, and I'm the chair of the Hampton Green Energy Committee. We are getting ready for 100% renewable energy in Hampton, and I'm going to tell you about a survey that we use to help during that process. Our Green Energy Committee was formed over 10 years ago, and our plan was to find energy savings for people in our town and for our town itself, and to really figure out renewable energy and promote renewable energy in town. And we've been quite successful. We've had energy audits in all our town buildings, had installation and upgrades at town hall and elementary school. We have a solar thermal system on our elementary school, as well as 2 solar electric projects. We've had dark sky LED lighting at our elementary school, and we've done a lot of educational work. We've had 3 energy fairs for residents, electric car show, worked with our local elementary school students, and done solarized and a few energy efficiency campaigns. So we wanted to be part of this Ready for 100 Clean Energy campaign that Mark talked about with PACE, which is happening not just in our country, but all over the world. And we figured out that if we're going to figure out how much energy we need to offset, we really need to get a better idea of how much energy we are actually using in our town. We know that with our town buildings, but we didn't really have a clear idea of what the residents were using. So we decided to do a survey, and the survey had the goal of giving us more information about energy usage, but also letting people know about the work that we've been doing in our community. So we sent it out to all our households and businesses in town. And to be fair, we have very few businesses in our town. We're a very small town. But we sent a short letter asking people to return the survey in a month, and got a 25% return on that. We asked questions like, how do they heat their homes? Do they have solar? What kind of cars they drive? How much mileage they put on those cars? Do they have insulation? Do they use LED bulbs? And then we had a very specific question about what they would like to see our committee doing to help them become more energy efficient in their homes, and also to access renewable energy. And then finally, our final question was, are you interested in becoming a member of our committee? And I'm happy to say we actually do have a new member as a result of this survey, and a few others who are interested. We put some charts together about the information that we received. Obviously, most people eat with oil, but we have some other interesting results there. We figured out how many solar installations. 16% of our community has solar, and 18% of those people have storage for their solar. We found out how people heat their hot water, how many vehicles they own. A lot of people have farm vehicles here, so they don't really put on as much as possible. And I should say that we got all this information from our assessor, and we worked hand in hand with the assessor to find out the cars that people owned, and it's amazing how much information you can get through your assessor's office. So these are some of the other statistics we have. I mean, we have a very, very high percentage of people in town with insulation in their attics, which we're very proud of. And 32% of people have had home energy audits, but only 10% followed through with those audits. So it really gives us an indication of what work we have to do. We did, you see here in this slide, we have all the benchmark figures, how much energy, how much greenhouse gas each individual in town is using. So we gathered all the information, and now we see where really to target our work in reaching out to our community and helping them explore the potential to reduce their energy and helping them explore the potential for solar in their homes. So I'd say it was a very successful thing to do in our community. And it also got us some really good outreach to people who we may not have been heard from, or they didn't really know what they were interested in finding. So it's been a very successful thing, and now we're onward to finding, once we're through COVID, we're going to implement some more of the lessons that we learned from our survey. So thanks. If you have any questions, you can contact us through the Hampton Town website. Thanks.
Hi, this is Dan Rabin, and it's a pleasure to be with you to discuss our HeatSmart Branford outreach program. HeatSmart Branford is a collaboration between PACE and the Town of Branford's Clean Energy Committee. Shirley McCarthy is the chairperson of that committee. Mike Cohen is our HeatSmart coach, and I'm responsible for publicity. We're all very grateful to our first selectman, Jamie Cosgrove, who's been extremely supportive, first by setting up the Clean Energy Committee and also by supporting the HeatSmart program. Branford's a small town just to the east of New Haven with about 30,000 residents and about 12,000 dwellings. This is a view from the shore of Stony Creek. But just so you don't think that it's always so quiet in Branford, we have had our share of significant storms. The HeatSmart program begins with a home energy solutions audit. The professionals who come to the home assess the energy efficiency of the home, and they do minor efficiency improvements such as caulking, sealing windows and doors, and replacing light bulbs. If more significant improvements are warranted, they will recommend a qualified contractor. Information about heat pumps and solar panels is also offered by the HES professionals. Some HeatSmart programs do not include solar panels, but we decided to include them in the Branford program. Our HeatSmart program began in September with the signing of an MOU between PACE and Branford, and it will run through the end of May of this year. One of the first things we did was set up a website so that people could, first of all, get information, but also sign up for the program and request an HES audit. To date, about 300 Branford residents have signed up for this program, and we've completed or scheduled more than 200 HES audits. Some of the tactics we use in our publicity campaign cost money, and we were very lucky to receive a starter grant from PACE of $5,000. In addition, we raised $6,000, and part of that was matched by Sustainable CT. On the right side, you see one of our HeatSmart volunteers at a tabling event on the Branford Green. When residents go to our website and sign up for HeatSmart, we ask them for some information such as their name, address, etc., so we can get back in touch with them. We also ask them questions such as, I found out about HeatSmart from, or I'm interested in whatever, and give them some choices. And I'll show you a little bit of the data from these questions afterwards. We provide timely HES follow-up to keep our customers in the loop and make sure the process moves along in a timely fashion. And we also provide information on home improvements and the technologies I mentioned. So how did we reach out to our community? On the right side, you see a 27-foot banner that spans Main Street in Branford. And on the left side are some of the tactics that we used. As you look down this list, please think, which one of these do you expect would give the greatest call to action among the residents of your town? We did some social media. We did several press releases for local newspapers. We relied on word of mouth, friends telling friends, neighbors telling neighbors. We generated several videos that were posted on our website and also on the town's sustainability page. We did direct mailings, and we did Zoom presentations to a variety of associations in the town. We also depended on our contractors to get the word out. So you must be wondering which tactic worked best in Branford. By far, the direct mailings generated the most interest on our website. We realized that different people respond to different types of communication, and we also realized that probably multiple hits are necessary to motivate people to action. On the intake form, we asked our residents what they're interested in. It's not surprising that almost everybody was interested in a free HES audit, but also about 20% were interested in pursuing heat pumps or solar. SolSmart is a national designation program funded by the Department of Energy that helps local governments facilitate residential and business solar energy. There are 3 levels to SolSmart: gold, silver, and bronze. And on the right side, you see our first selectman, Jamie Cosgrove, receiving our SolSmart bronze plaque. So what did we learn? It takes a team to execute an initiative. We have a group of about 15 dedicated volunteers that really made this effort, this HeatSmart program, possible. Multiple publicity tactics are better than a single one. We don't have data to support this, but it's conventional wisdom in marketing. Trusted sources are effective. I did show you that our town mailings and word of mouth together contributed about 60% of the signups that we received on the website. We're collecting data to quantify our outcomes, and we're going to assemble those and analyze them in an outcomes report that we will distribute after the end of the program in May. And I have to say, we stood on the shoulders of our partners. The town of Branford, PACE, our HES providers, and Air Inc., our heat pump provider, were extremely supportive and helpful, and they've been really wonderful collaborators. So finally, this is a slide, a picture postcard of Short Beach in Branford, Connecticut, another one of our neighborhoods. And I'm showing you this not only to show that Branford is a wonderful place to live, but also that electrified public transportation is indeed possible, and it was a real thing 100 years ago in Branford. Thank you very much for your attention.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jen Kleindienst. I'm a member of the Middletown Clean Energy Task Force and one of the co-founders of the CHEER Middletown program. CHEER stands for Comfortable, Healthy, Energy Efficient, and Renewable, and we're here to share a little bit more about the program today. But first, we'll do introductions of the other folks who are joining.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maria Louise, and I'm an artist, designer, and inventor from Middletown, Connecticut. And I reside on the executive board of the North End Action Team, and I am a supporter of CHEER.
Hello, I'm Kathy Fay, and I'm with I Heart My Home Connecticut. and big fan of cheer.
My name is Mike Ewell. I'm an engineer with System Smart, and I help run the I Heart My Home program.
Hi, I'm Leticia Calinda Mejias. I'm the founder of Energy Efficiency Solutions in Windsor, Connecticut, and a proud partner of the CHEER program.
All right, thanks everybody. And at the end, you'll hear about other members of our team who couldn't join us for the conversation today. So why CHEER? So I moved to Middletown in 2012. I was renting in a 4-unit building and had a very drafty apartment. And so I asked my landlord about having home energy solutions done, and she begrudgingly consented, but would only do it for my unit and not the other 3 in the building. And that got the gears in my head turning. What happens if the landlord isn't willing to do this? How useful is this if the other units in this building aren't getting weatherized? What if there are other barriers? What if I didn't have the money to pay the 50% match that she agreed to do for the home energy solutions copay? And it took several years, but the CHEER program was born. We recognized that for many people, especially low and moderate income people, health and safety barriers can sometimes present insurmountable obstacles that prevent access to energy efficiency and renewables. So we've created a program that focuses on equity so that these services and having a comfortable and healthy home is not something that's available just to those of higher incomes, but for everyone. One of the biggest aspects of CHEER is trying to address the funding gap so that this is actually an affordable program. And we have big dreams. Right now, we're a small program in Middletown that has partnerships across the state, but we think there's a need in every municipality across Connecticut and probably statewide and probably nationally for something akin to this program. So the vision of CHEER is to bring, as the acronym says, bring comfort, health, energy efficiency, and renewable energy to low and middle income households. I mentioned some of the health and safety barriers. We've written down some of the more common ones that you see. And sometimes there are also livability concerns that don't necessarily present barriers to doing energy efficiency work, for example, unsafe stairs, but just make a home unsafe and not comfortable. And so part of the CHEER program is focusing on the energy related aspects of a home, but also digging a little bit deeper so that it's a truly livable home. And we really, one of the key pieces is making this affordable. I know I've said that already. I'm going to keep saying it because that's one of our key tenets. If this is a program that is only available to people who have the means to do it, what good will that do to those with low and moderate incomes? So the approach that we use in CHEER is working with multi-unit homes. I think technically they're considered single family homes up to 4 units. So only that size buildings, and we'll work either with an owner occupied home, whether or not there are renters, or with a building landlord that has only rental units, as long as over half or more than half of the residents within the building meet income eligibility requirements. One of the things that we've discovered, knew a little bit ahead of time, but have discovered more as CHEER has gone on, is how much an issue of relationships and trust or lack of trust can be in moving forward with this work. So the sometimes inherent tension between building owners and renters, having building owners not want to invest in a property that they're just using to make money with, a lot of fear that if they work with CHEER that we will call the code police if there were broken stairs or some sort of health and safety issue. We don't do that. And then renters are afraid to bother their building owners. They're worried that if they get work done that maybe their rents will increase. And I can't say that we've done perfectly in addressing all of these concerns, but we try to make addressing them a part of what we do in our work. So 5 main aspects to the CHEER approach. We recently began a partnership with I Heart My Home, which you'll hear a little bit more about in a few moments, trying to make sure that we're really serving the client's needs well, so that we're giving a comprehensive program. Again, I'm going to say affordability. Working to leverage funding. We have some small seed grant funding that's available from the cheer program itself, but we also do a lot to try to leverage funding from other sources so that we can bridge that access and affordability gap. We work with Leticia and Energy Efficiency Solutions, who you will also hear from again in a moment, to access home energy solutions and HESIE, as well as deeper weatherization services. We have about a year ago began a partnership with Connecticut Children's Hospital Healthy Homes Program, and that is helping immensely in addressing issues of funding for remediation of asbestos and lead, which are potentially high cost barriers to energy efficiency work. And then lastly, people like Maria, we have several other volunteers on our cheer steering committee, help to advise the work that we do with our programs and how to make sure that we're best serving the community. So now I will turn it over to Kathy to tell us a little bit more about I Heart My Home.
Thank you, Jen, and to the cheer team. And thank you also to the New Haven Energy Task Force and Sustainable CT for supporting us in our first year of providing this service throughout Connecticut. I Heart My Home is a resident-focused home energy concierge program. We listen to your goals, remove barriers to progress, and empower you to get results. Home improvements are unique and sometimes complicated, but your experience doesn't have to be. I Heart My Home guides participants through opportunities like weatherization, asbestos remediation, on-site clean energy, appliance upgrades, and more. We analyze the many options with nationally recognized software and find a great incremental and affordable path forward. We keep residents from falling through the cracks or navigate them past analysis paralysis to clear next steps. Participants enjoy the freedom to ask questions with their trusted advisors and advocates, and we stick with you, coordinating to the right eligible program at the right time. We're here to cheer you on. One of the most common first steps is weatherization through home energy solutions, and Leticia will tell you more about it soon. But first, you should hear about Cheer's progress by the numbers.
Thank you, Kathy. So we are a fairly young program, as I mentioned. We're less than 4 years old, but we've worked with a number of homes. So we are continually working to update the map that we have of our properties. There are actually several more in progress that we haven't even had time to add to this map yet. But always looking to expand the number of homes that we're working with. So thus far, we've worked with 23 properties, broken this out into 2 different columns. So we've spent on average about $4,100 per property, which has amounted to only about $500 of direct cheer money. That's our seed grant funding, but we've matched over $3,500 from external sources. In the aggregate, we've reached almost $100,000 in total value, but only a little under $13,000 of direct cheer money, with the remainder coming from external sources. So cheer is really meant to be a leverage point and not so much that we're funding projects directly. We want to find new funding that's out there and other resources that are out there as much as possible. We began with a $30,000 original budget that came out of a Bright Ideas grant, and this past year we have received an additional $15,000 in a community development block grant through Middletown, and we've expended, as you noted, a little bit under $13,000. So we're still working our way through our original budget and excited to be able to open up to more properties with our expanded budget. We ran a Solar for All campaign about 2 years ago and reached nearly 100 families with almost 40 contracts. And then in the specific projects that we've done, we've had, though modest, we've had savings in both electricity, gas, and oil consumption, as you can see from the numbers here. So It's a small start, but we're really excited about it and know that there's potential for a whole lot more. Now I'll pass it to Leticia.
So my team works with the Energize Connecticut program to serve homes all across the state. We have a heavy focus in Middletown because of the work that CHEER has done to lay the foundation to connect their community members with the services that are provided through funds collected on the electric and gas bills in Connecticut. When our team arrives at your home during the pandemic, they're going to be wearing masks and PPE equipment to keep you safe. We make a bunch of calls before we arrive to make sure everyone is feeling well, and we sanitize as we go. We check heating and cooling equipment, domestic hot water heaters. We install shower heads and faucet aerators on all accessible areas to draw down hot water demand and water waste. We check insulation levels, and if you qualify for the income eligible program, some of those services are available at low or no cost. Things like windows and insulation might be upgraded through the income eligible program. Sometimes we can even install a ductless mini split or replace a domestic hot water heater. And through the market rate program, we provide rebates and incentives to lower those costs and make them affordable and accessible to people in Connecticut who want to draw down their energy demands and connect with renewable resources.
Yeah. So before we end for today, just wanted to give you a very quick example of one of our earlier CHEER project homes. So this was an income eligible property. And we did energy efficiency improvements that included lighting, air sealing, and a boiler tune-up just through Home Energy Solutions. And then we added about $1,000, about $1,500 of direct CHEER funding to address possible knob and tube wiring. It gratefully was not energized, to address some lead paint issues, clean boiler flues, and fix broken front steps. And then Eversource contributed an additional $10,000 in addition to the $1,000 value of Home Energy Solutions to put insulation into this home. So we ended up a $12,000 value project that direct to CHEER had an outlay of just over $1,500. And this is a fairly typical project. With projects that require more in terms of asbestos remediation and so on, there's certainly a higher cost in that regard, but the project average of about $4,100 per project, with only about 500 or so coming from CHEER, is quite typical. So just wanted to give a big thank you from me and everyone else who is on the CHEER team, especially those who have spoken today. Leticia, Kathy, Mike, and Maria Louise. Other folks who could not be here today include Michael Harris, who is the city's energy coordinator, as well as the others who you can see here. And we will be more than happy to answer any questions that you have, and hope that we can inspire other communities to bring CHEER or a program like it to your own cities and towns. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for inviting Fairfield to speak at the conference. My name is Bob Wall. I am the chair of Sustainable Fairfield Task Force. And here we are in a group shot. Like many of the speakers, we've been around for a long time, 16 years in our case, and we've participated in many of the same campaigns that have made significant changes in our community. And here are some of the highlights listed. Many of you remember when Sandy came to town. It certainly came to our town, and here's an overhead shot of much of our town on the coast underwater, and unfortunately, so were many of our critical facilities. So the state took note of this situation and adopted a new program called the microgrid program, and Fairfield took advantage of the first round of solicitations. And for this round, we decided to tie in both our police headquarters and fire headquarters, along with a public shelter and an emergency communications center, which actually serves several communities in the area. So with that grant from the state of Connecticut, we put in a large natural gas generator, as well as solar PV and a number of efficiency measures, and allowing us to operate both on grid and in island modes. So there was another important facility that was equally impacted by these storms, which we discovered are starting to happen more frequently than every 100 years. So here is our wastewater treatment plant, which sits alongside of a number of other key town facilities. This time we applied for a grant from the United States Department of HUD and sought to try to harden the wastewater plant as well as create an electrical system so it can operate under these extreme weather conditions. And currently, thanks to the large fuel cell and a number of PV systems and energy conservation measures, this whole complex is now a net zero energy complex. You'll note to the left of the screen what looks like a Band-Aid. Let me show you what it looks like in real life. This is an aerial shot of a large ground-mounted solar PV system, and we were fortunate because we didn't have to cross any rights of way to interconnect to the facilities located directly above it. Another way that our town task force has contributed to the expansion of renewable energy is to try to build community support. We had one large project go down in flames, not literally, thankfully, because there wasn't adequate preparation. So we developed a playbook for getting out in front of these projects, meeting with the key people, especially the neighbors, and learn about their concerns and try to alleviate them. So here are some of the key takeaways from those interactions. And I'm pleased to say that since we adopted this playbook, we have been successful in getting approval for some of these solar carports, for example. It's amazing how people seem to cherish the view of an asphalt parking lot over the view of a very modern looking carport topped with solar panels. And here you can see an actual overhead shot of, this is Fairfield Ludlow High School, which has a number of carport facilities on the bottom and also solar on its rooftop. So collectively, these are providing nearly 2/3 of the power for this high school, and the same is true of our other public high school. We're also very interested in electric vehicle expansion, and so we took a comprehensive planning approach to study the issue. We spoke with a number of key stakeholders, both at the town, regional, and state levels, to put together kind of a picture of what was happening and what needed to happen to have a more comprehensive EV infrastructure. So I think the key takeaways for this conference are that when somebody has their own private home, it's never a problem. However, if you live in a condo or an apartment, you need to work to try to get charging at those facilities. Similarly, at workplaces or shopping areas. So you have to work with zoning, parking, and building codes to try to overcome and incentivize some of these changes. So in order to help that happen, you also have to encourage EV adoption. And so we hold an annual event, we now call it Green Wheels Expo. On the right, you see it when it was able to be held live. And this past year, we had to do it virtually, but it's been a really cool event that has grown bigger every year. And this helps to, encourage people to adopt solar. They could, EVs, they can see the cars, take them for a test drive and ask a lot of questions. So it's been very effective. We even had a school bus 2 years ago that we borrowed from New York State where people could see the benefits of an electric school bus. And we also created a website where there's a lot of information for people to learn about electric vehicles or how this impacts the state overall. So I'll leave you with a shot from happier days, or maybe we're just all in Texas at this moment. But thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Woodie Weiss. I chair the Madison Energy Efficiency Committee, and I'd like to discuss with you today how we were able to build and renovate a library utilizing all of the latest energy saving ideas Normally, frankly, it's very difficult to convince town officials to spend the money and to give us the freedom on a building committee to make so many changes to a conventionally designed building. It starts with communicating your successes over the years to the town officials, to have them be comfortable with what it is that you're asking for and wanting to do. We also communicated our goals to them so that they knew what we were trying to accomplish. So many times you come into these building committees, as I have, and it's not really clear what our goals were. We want to build a beautiful building. We want to have the programs that the library needs to be a part of that. But what about the things that are important to energy efficiency and renewable energy? Shot of our new library, completed a few months ago, being used now as a finally on March 1st, we're able to handle residents post heavy duty COVID. We renovated the original 1900 building and the two additions, one in 61 and 89, and essentially doubled the size of the library. We participated in Eversource's whole building program, which really was a terrific program, and we're thrilled to have been part of it. They co-opted with us extensive energy modeling. We were able to show the architect and the engineers from the get-go and all throughout the process of how efficient what we were trying to do was. And at the end, the energy modeling companies determined that our building was 23% more efficient than a brand new building built to code. And as a result, we were rewarded with a $41,500 check that we could use to defray some of the cost of the improvements that we made. And you may have seen that before I shot by it, but it does appear that our utility costs will be lower for this building than the old building, despite the requirements for heavy-duty ventilation nowadays compared to the last time that building was touched in 1989. This is some of the features of the building: geo-exchange, 110 kW PV, solar domestic hot water, 100% LED, and perhaps more unusual, monitoring of everything. From the circuit level monitoring using current transformers and all kinds of equipment to bore field monitoring and solar hot water. We really wanted to know how this performs. It's a model for what we're going to build and we're going to renovate moving forward. You can even see on this, at this point I was looking at our heat pumps, how much they were cycling, whether they were shifting from one stage to two, how frequently, and this equipment gives us the ability to really fine tune. This is a BMS rendering of what the geo system looks like. I'm showing this to you only because geo systems come installed and operational, but not necessarily overly efficient. There's a tremendous amount of hands-on tuning that goes on. I enjoy doing that, and I did the libraries, and the system has become extremely efficient, as I'll show you in the next slide. 69% of the energy to heat or cool the building comes from the earth. It's completely renewable. We put cold water into the earth in the winter and take out warmth, and in the summer we do just the reverse. The net to the earth is essentially zero, so it's classed as renewable, and it costs substantially less than any other form of heating or cooling that's available to us now. Just a picture of the equipment, and the main reason I'm showing this to you is because that equipment is in a conditioned space. It's dry, it's free from rodents, it's free from salt water, air. It will last a very, very long time compared to RTUs and ground mounted equipment. It's really, it looks as good now as it did the day it was installed 2 years ago. The photovoltaic system is unique, a little bit unique for us in Madison. We have 13 other systems that are PPA systems where we do power purchase plan. This we were able to by incorporating it from the get-go and really working the pricing very close. We were able to afford to purchase it as part of the contract to build the building, which means we keep the ZREC dollars and we pay nothing for electricity. And we show this performance in the cafe on a large screen monitor with all of the monitoring equipment that we have and the results. Here is a picture of the PV system. You can see the main one, and then you can see in the 1989 edition over here, 4 separate systems, and over here, the 4 solar hot water panels. One of the screens off the large screen in the cafe just show what we're producing, what the equivalent trees are, how much CO2 we saved, what it's producing at any given instant. The solar hot water system needed a backup, the backup for days that we snow or it's raining or no, at nighttime. So we use a Stiebel Eltron heat pump backup system. There's no fossil fuel used in this at all. It is almost exactly the same efficiency as the geo system, 68% coming from the sun. The monitoring systems are lab grade, they're very accurate, and we monitor so many different things. There's, I don't know, 96 channels being monitored at this point, 2 of the DENT units. This is what the flow meter looks like, and over here, down here is one of the temperature sensors. They're monitoring the bore field and the solar systems. This is a BTU graph, which also correlates to power, kilowatts, and it actually is amazingly close to the power monitor that we have in terms of showing what the efficiency is. So I have a very high confidence that our numbers are accurate. What did we learn, and what can I hope you learn as a result of this project? Initially, compile a list of non-negotiables in any project. I mean, look at the whole building, whether you're going to renovate it or whether you're going to newly construct it, and come up with what's really important to you and to the building committee. Use extensive energy modeling to validate your savings so that you can get these things approved and not have them struck because people don't know what it really means. Very importantly, value engineer from the get-go, not at the end. All too often, I hear somebody say, oh, the project came in over budget and we have to value engineer, and what do you think they cut first? Oh, well, the geo system goes, the PV system goes, all of that goes. Value engineer from the get-go, get good cost estimating through the process. We came in right on budget. We didn't have to cut anything. And one of the most important things is the geo was a little bit more expensive than conventional natural gas with electric air. But if you go and do a life cycle cost analysis, all of a sudden a system that has a 50-year life and breaks even after 5 or 6 or 7 years is an easy thing to convince to anybody. With that, I'll turn it back to the moderator. Thank you for listening, and by all means, connect with me if you need any more information on other things. Many thanks for joining us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Patrice Gillespie, and I'm the Municipal Outreach Coordinator for the CT Energy Network. I'm the final speaker in this session of local initiatives. So we're going to wrap up in a few minutes, but I wanted to just say that the local initiatives that you've just heard about have been led by volunteers that have dedicated their discretionary time and have helped cajole their government officials, their local businesses, their school boards, and community groups, nonprofits, faith communities to advance the goals of not only the town but the state as a whole. The energy network that we all are members of, we really are hundreds of people across the state. We're we have sustainability teams and energy commissions, energy committees, all working to see that sustainable energy performance and the inherent benefits to public health are advanced. So Ann Hulick is the director of the Connecticut Clean Water Action Field Office, and she's a registered nurse with a law degree. So she keeps us focused on how well clean energy actually enhances and advances better public health. So together we work with PACE and we implement 21st century energy technology programs, and we help advance the policies and even legislation at the state level so that future generations will have a better world. This is a shot that was taken 13 months ago at our Net Zero Energy Schools gathering. We heard from the Northeast Energy Efficiency Partnership and other entities that were helping us envision what a net zero energy school, and in fact, a net zero energy school district might look like. So hopefully we'll be back soon to having in-person gatherings, but we're doing quite well. As Bob showed you, and with his task force, we have monthly Zoom meetings, and we are accomplishing a lot under these current circumstances. So thank you so much for being with us today. These are the names and the email addresses of the people you've heard from today. We look forward to answering your questions through various means. And we thank NESB for giving us the opportunity to present to you and show you some of the highlights of our work in recent years. Thank you.